Hey, what's cracking? How are you doing today? Hope this video finds you doing well. It's my great pleasure today to do a video with my very good friend, Brandon Bonds. My name is Ricky Dye, and I went to prison for murder when I was 15 years old in the state of Oklahoma. And I was there over 20 years before I got out. I can't do anything to change my past, so I make videos and talk about the experiences I had in hopes to stop someone else from having. You'll enjoy my videos best if you'll start at the beginning, because they're like a series. I start at the beginning with my crime, what I did and why I did it, what led me to do that in the first place, and being certified as an adult and sent to prison with grown men. And I tell the story as it happened. But every now and then, I have the pleasure of having a guest on my show, and I've really been looking forward to doing one with Brandon. Man, he's a very good friend of mine. We met through my channel. He's a subscriber. He was making comments, and he friended me on Facebook and sent me a comment on Messenger, and here we are today, Brandon. And you started a channel, and how can people find your channel, Brandon?
So my username is GrumpyVet96, but I started to make this channel because I got out of the military in July of 2023 last year. So I've only been a civilian for about maybe 9 or 10, 11 months now. It hasn't even been a full year. Transition is going pretty well so far. Like I've had, a few bumps of pretty big bumps I've hit along the way, but it's a learning process and we're still going through things. But I feel like I've connected with the rookie. Like I said, I've never been in any trouble before, but I've been in combat. I went to one tour in Afghanistan when I just turned 22 years old, and in 2018, we just got sent overseas. And it's honestly the biggest war is honestly just coming back and just seeing everyone like suicides just keep going higher and higher every year. And Ricky has experienced a lot of trauma. I have too, and we're both local in the area, and we just clicked, and it's just how our backgrounds are completely different, but there's some things that intersect and that connect with us, and you see why.
Yeah. So, man, people find it that a lot of people don't know that's how the Hells Angels started. Was you had a lot of people that have been in prison and they get out of prison. And for a lot of people, people think that going to prison is really hard. And they think, how did you survive that? You're so strong. And you're not strong because you went to prison and survived it. If you get sent to prison, you'll survive it too. It's something that you do because you made a mistake. For you, it was completely different, Brandon. You didn't make a mistake. You went into war straight out of high school, and I have a lot of questions for you about that, because the post-traumatic stress I suffer is from a mistake I made, choices that led me down a bad road. But yours is a sacrifice. And so it's hard for me to understand why you suffer from it, because to me, you're a hero. And I really mean that. And first thing I want to say is thank you for your service, brother. I really appreciate it if no one else does.
I appreciate your support. Thank you.
I mean that from the heart. So we're going to get into the questions here in just a minute. Why don't you start with one for me?
Okay. So what this question series is going to be about, we're going to ask each other a total of 5 questions. He's going to ask me one. I'm going to ask one. We're just going to go back and forth. But we're going to do 5 questions total for each. So let's kind of start with a funny question. And this is it's funny, but I'm being serious too. So, so for guys in the military, we talk shit to each other all the time, just as in funny, but nothing being serious. And there have been many times in my career where I've called someone like a punk bitch, but being like, but we're joking, like in the military, like we said even worse shit to each other. We said some horrible things, but it's nothing serious. So I guess my question is, why is it in prison? Is it just like a thing? Like, why in prison is that such a big, bold statement? Hey, you a fucking punk bitch. I guess, man, if someone called you like a fucking or, something like really vulgar, but just, oh, you fucking punk. Why is that? Why do men, why is that such an issue?
So in prison, things that usually wouldn't be a big issue out here, they are a big issue in there. Respect is a major thing. You never cut a line. For instance, you out here, you might look at someone, you might lock eyes for a minute, but it's really no big thing. But in prison, if you lock eyes with someone for very long at all, it causes a problem. Just like if you do it to a dog or a cat. I guess that's just an instinctual thing. But I remember the first time I called someone a punk in prison, not knowing that I wasn't supposed to do that. He was my friend. He was bigger than me. He was older than me. Probably could have kicked my ass. And I wasn't meaning to be disrespectful. It was just like me and you sitting here talking, and I was playing with him and calling him punk. And he stood up off that bed and he was going to get me. And there was a complete change in him. He went from being my laughing, smiling buddy like me and he's sitting here now to complete anger about to attack me. And I'm like, what just happened? He's like, you called me a punk. And I'm like, What's the big deal? Mm-hmm. And so then that's when it was explained to me that if someone calls you a punk, that basically means that you've either caught out from somewhere, or you suck dick, or you take it in the ass. That's what that word means in prison, that you submit to other men. And so if you let someone call you that or say that to you, then everyone thinks that they can do that to you. So it's something that they say this, that if someone calls you a punk, you got to hit them now or stab them later. And that's it. And that's crazy that you will have to do something that violent because you spend years and years of your life in prison over a word. But that's exactly how it is.
Crazy.
Yeah. So my first question for you, Brandon, is, so I know what it was like for me when I was 15 years old and they come and cuff me up and took me and put me in a little cell, and I'm looking out the window, and to be honest with you, I was the only white person there. The staff were black. All the other kids that were looking out were black, and they were all older than me. I felt like a little kid and I was scared to death. And I wonder what it was like for you at such a young age. You were how old whenever you first jumped out of a plane or helicopter?
I was 19.
19. So what was that like, man? Were you scared to jump off that? Was it because your friends was doing it? You were just juiced up? Were you excited or were you afraid? Because I don't think I could have jumped.
Why did I do it, honestly? Why the fuck not?
Yeah.
That's all my honest answer. I mean, it was just whenever I was coming into the military, doing your paperwork or choosing your job, and they say, hey, would you like to go airborne school? And would you like to go as a choice? Some people are okay with like, oh, yeah, I want to. Oh, yeah, I don't. It's really optional. But I was like, ever jump out of planes? I don't get to do that all the time. I mean, every day. Why not? I was like, give me something to do. And that's not the honest answer. But, going through that, was it scary? Oh, hell yeah. The first time I ever jumped. I don't know if you've seen my story, but like my second story, it was when my first jump, and kid behind me almost got decapitated. Like
I watched the video.
Yeah, he basically, like I said, long story short, I'm going to probably do another remake of the video one day. Because like I said, I'm still in the beginner phase, so I'll make it pro one day. But basically, his static line, or basically the thing that connects to the parachute, he turned the wrong way and it wrapped around his neck. And he jumped out. And if he actually would have, hit the air and the plane would open, it would have ripped his,
So
head.
when you jumped out, was it like going on a ride at Six Flags, or was it like, what was that like, man?
It is.
You get shoved out of that plane.
It is something that you can't explain. The best way to describe it as realistic to you is it feels like a vacuum cleaner sucking up an ant. That's the best way to describe it.
Were you terrified, or was it a rush?
Oh, it was a rush. You're scared. I mean, you're fucking everything. I mean, like I said, I was just 19 years old. And I jumped out, and like I said, there were supposed to be 8 of us that jumped. But like I said, I was the first jumper, so I jumped out. And the second jumper, he messed up, so that stopped the whole operation. So I'm this out of the hundreds of people on the ground watching. I'm this little 19-year-old kid, and I have all these people yelling at me in bullhorns, what the fuck is going on? But no, I did the jump really well. They were just fucking with me, giving me a hard time. But yeah, I wasn't expecting that. When I jumped out of the plane, my friend almost got decapitated right next to me. Wow. But no, other than that, like I said, as long as you just do your training and just stay focused and don't try not to let it scare you, then you'll be fine. Because like I said, your first jump, I always get scared before I jump. But like I said, at that one time, my adrenaline will just take over and it doesn't matter. I just hit the green light. I just slam the gas pedal and go for it.
Just go for it because your brother's with you.
Yep, you just go for it. And it's like I said, when you jump out, it just feels like you're just being sucked out of like a way, involuntarily. But like whenever the chute actually opens up and you're actually drifting down, bro. It's a fucking amazing.
Because that's no problem. You ain't worried when the chute pops.
Once the chute pops, bro, it's quiet. You don't hear the air engines. You don't have, fumes blowing in your face. It's amazing. You hear the breeze. You can see birds flying by you and shit. Wow. You can see squirrels jumping and shit on top of the trees.
So overall, it was a great experience.
Oh, absolutely. I loved every minute of it.
Thank you for that. All right. What's your next?
So my next question I was going to ask you is like, I know, in prison, you can't have anything like, weapons or anything. Obviously, make some shanks or, something sharp. There's all kinds of nicknames for it. And I know Rick will probably tell you what the nicknames they have. There's nicknames for literally everything in prison. But what are some of the craziest ways you have seen other people make shanks and like how they did and got away with it?
Man, we not only shanks in prison, you make all kinds of weapons in prison. A quick weapon is just to take a padlock and put it on a belt. I got a write-up once for hitting someone with a lock on a belt, and I sent pictures. They used it as evidence against me, a picture of it as evidence. He took this weapon and hit this guy in the head, causing bleeding, blah. It said that is a misconduct, but on the above date and time, Ricky Dye did take a homemade mace, is what it said. And it had a picture of it attached. and hit this inmate in the head, caused swelling and bleeding. So I sent it to my mom. This is my homemade mace. So that's the quickest weapon you can do, because as soon as you get to a prison, you'll get issued a little state belt, and they'll offer you a lock to put on your locker, and you can owe for it. So they immediately give you a weapon. But a shank, you can make a shank out of pretty much anything. I've seen people make them out of, just use a pencil, a couple pencils taped together. You can do a lot of damage with that in soft areas. Seen people take and melt razor blades on a toothbrush. A good way to do it is, you've seen in mop bucket has a little wire that you pick it up and carry it with. That's the number one thing that we steal right off the bat. It's the wire off the mop buckets, because you can straighten it out, break it in half, and that's long enough to make 2 good ice picks. Sharpen up one end, tear up some strips of sheet, and tie them around the other end, and you've got 2 ice picks.
I mean, if it's wrapped around you, they can't
pull it away, right? So also we'll take toenail clippers or a good pair of toenail clippers and break them apart. And you could take the metal from a desk or the bunk or the light, and you just keep scratching it until you can bend it and break it loose, and then sharpen it on the concrete. They have a yard crew on every yard, guys that mow the grass. They're not supposed to be able to get it, but you can pay someone to bring you a water bottle full of gasoline and make you a bomb. You throw it on somebody, stick you a torch in and throw it on. My people have done it in McAllister. So,
oh my God.
It's really just so out here. Let me tell you, man, one thing I can't stress enough is people judge by size. They see a guy and they think, oh man, he's big. He's got all these muscles. He's young and strong. He can whip me. Yeah, he probably can whip you, but he probably knows it too. So he probably isn't going to hurt you bad. But when you threaten someone who feels in danger, someone who doesn't have that confidence, who knows they're sick, who knows they're wounded, and if a wounded animal is the worst one to corner. So when you get some older guy who used to be somebody and now his body's withered on him, and you put him in that position, that's what you call treacherous. There was an Indian in prison named Andy Anderson, a real thin, older Indian guy. But he was on the top 10 list of killers in McAllister because he was treacherous, man. He'll make friends with you and then stab you in the neck while you're drinking coffee. So it really depends on if you have the will to set aside the consequences and really do it. It's harder than you would think. Shooting someone is one thing. Hitting them with a bomb or a drone, that's one thing. But to take a knife and stick it into someone's skin over and over with the intention of killing them, trying to take their life, is very personal and very hard to do. And yeah. So my next one for you is this. Go back to another one of your videos. You were on a base and it got bombed. You kind of pretty much were supply guy. You were the supply guy. You ran things with weapons and logistics. You made sure people had what they needed to do their job. But while you were running these errands, there was a good chance you could be targeted yourself. A lot of those Humvees and supply chains got busted up and bombed. It happened all the time. So you're very lucky to be sitting next to me today. So my thing is, in prison, as I just spoke about, the knife, the hand-to-hand, the personal, yeah, but I didn't have anybody shooting at me, brother. There were no bombs going off around me. At least I knew if someone was going to try to get me that I had done something to this man, and there was a reason to consider him a threat. I wasn't just in a strange place in a truck hoping that I didn't get shot. And I wonder what that was like for you. And you said that you jumped out of the airplane, because why the hell not? But surely you knew when you went over here that there was a chance you would die over here. Why did you do that?
I just felt like I don't, like I said, it's just hard for me to claim things, but I mean, I wouldn't say I claim myself as a hero. I mean, I've definitely done a lot of things that I'm very proud of, but I guess people in the military kind of look frown upon it if you talk proudly of your service. Like, oh, yeah, I went to Afghanistan. Like, people think that you're just an ass kisser. So a lot of military guys don't really talk about all their time in service until they're out. So me talking about it now is relieving, but no, like I said, I did one tour in Afghanistan in 2018, but like I said, our first day we got there, we got bombed. Like I just turned 22 and I was only there for like 6 hours, and my buddy and I went on the back porch and we were just sitting there chit-chatting, and I was like, man, I wonder what it would like to actually get bombed. Like the moment I thought it, alarms started going off, fire started coming in, and it was crazy. And my buddy was just sitting there laughing his ass off at me. I'm like freaking the fuck out. Like, what the hell is going on? I'm just a 22-year-old kid. And it was kind of the same way for me whenever I left. It was just like the people that were replacing us were coming in. You'd see some newcomers who've never been to the country before. And I'd be, oh my gosh. And I was like, hey, man, you're fine. Because there would even be times where, and this is not normal at all, but there'd be times it'd be like 3 a.m. It feels like an earthquake, like on steroids. And, where we stayed at, we stayed in a Connex, and we had a little AC in there. Was just my roommate and I. His name was Richard Page, and him and I are still good friends to this day. And he lives in West Virginia now. But him and I, we just had a little locker, like a wall locker that separated us. And there was a time we got bombed like at 3 a.m. pretty hard, and the whole place shook. And woke us up, and I said, "Hey, Rich, you good?" "Yeah, I'm good." And I said, "I'm going back to bed, dude. See you later." And Rick was like, "Yeah, man, my time. I'm going back to bed." And I was kind of the same way at one point, but as to why I did it, it's just I wanted to do something my family's honestly never done. I just wanted to do something new that people don't normally do. Not to like glorify myself, but just I don't want to follow the crowd, honestly.
Did you think there was a chance you were going to go over there and might get killed?
Oh, well, absolutely. I thought at one point I was. But
wanted to be a hero, but now that you've become one, you don't want to admit to it. Is that pretty much the thought? Right?
I guess the shoe fits. I don't know, man.
Okay, right. Brother Will. I want you to know you have my respect. You're a hero to me.
You have my respect, man. That.
So, is it your turn to ask a question or mine? I appreciate it. That was a very good answer, man. Thank you. So it must be.
So my next question I was going to ask you is, and this is more of a sensitive one, kind of a hard question, but how many people have you personally seen get killed while you're in prison? Someone die in front of you? Any bodies? And what was the crazy story you have about that?
So I've seen one guy get killed in DU at Hinton. A friend of mine named Pat Lloyd. I made a video about it. My friend Pat Lloyd, he killed a Mexican guy. It was over a homosexual. They were fighting over a homosexual. He wasn't trying to kill him per se, but I mean, I guess he might have been trying to kill him because this guy Heavy breaks out of his cell in DU. He has his door rigged after a shower, and Pat Lloyd was this run man. And Pat had on a pair of boots because he was the run man, and the guys in the cells, they don't got shoes. They just got flip-flops. So Heavy was barefooted, and he had his door rigged after he got back from the shower. And whenever Pat come around to pass out the trays, he busted out of the shower and he busted out of his cell and tried to start stabbing Pat. And Pat had on boots, and whenever he knocked those trays and that tea and stuff in the floor, Heavy slipped in it and fell down. Pat kicked him in the head with them boots a few times, and it killed him. I also had a cell partner in McAllister that stomped a guy with a pair of Converse All-Stars until he almost died. They carried him out, and he was on life support for a couple weeks, and he ended up being a vegetable. So he was very close to death. I was on the same unit with some guys. There was a guy who came on the unit. He was about your size, Brandon, a younger guy, about your age, about 6'2" or so. I would say weighed a little over 200 pounds. And young guy, you could tell he was in shape, young, good-looking guy. And they came him wanting coffee from him. And he had a bag, but he told them no. There you guys. Wouldn't give him a shot of coffee. They ended up having words with each other. So sent 2 prospects over there to whoop him. Put in work, they call it. 2-on-1, put in work. So they go in there, and he whoops them both. Strums them good, swells them up. And so they go back, and so the UAVs are not accepting that. So then 3 brothers come in there, and they beat that boy, they beat the shit out of that guy, and he's a vegetable too. Just because he fought back too hard. He stood up to himself like he was supposed to, but he just fought back a little too hard. So anything can happen. And once words are crossed, anything can happen after that. Because the difference between out here and in there is out here, you have words with someone, you don't have to see them again. But in there, you may see them again in 30 minutes at the microwave. You can't get away from each other. And so the problem has to be dealt with. And if you don't deal with the problem with that person and you go ask the police to help you and save you by protecting, then they're going to put you in lockup and a cell and protect you at the moment and send you to another yard where word will follow you. And now instead of having a problem with just that one guy, everybody calls you a rat and a catch out. Now you have a problem everywhere. So you have to face up to your problems. You have to face up to them immediately. You can't say, oh, I'm going to get him later, and then you don't do nothing. That doesn't work. You can do that out here, but you cannot do that in prison. So, my next one for you is this. I worked in the kitchen a lot in prison. I made videos about it. And in there, the meat they give us, bro, on the box it says not for human consumption. But they do give it to people in prison, and I'm told they give it to you guys in the military. And, if they do, and I can understand doing the prisoners that way, it is one grade above dog food. I understand why they're doing prisoners that way. I don't think it's right, but I do understand it. I cannot fathom giving that to the people who are risking their life for our country. So I have to ask you, man, what is the food like? Are you eating that dog food just like we are?
So, like I said, when you're stateside and you're on a base and you're just, like I said, when you're not in training mode and you're actually just, you're stationed somewhere, like I said, there's cafes everywhere, that's fine. But like when you're deployed, you have like MREs, which is meals ready to eat. And those have like 2,200 calories per meal, and they have like so much preservatives.
Okay, what else in an MRE? What is MRE?
MRE, like it's a meal ready to eat. It comes with like an entree. It comes with like a side of like maybe crackers and peanut butter. It comes with like all these little things. And
like, what would one be?
One would be like chili macaroni. Would be like it'd be beef. I mean, I don't know how beef, this thing, it can be held for like 3 to 5 years till it expires. So it's just like, I don't know how they preserve it, but so if you're ever out in, in training or you're actually deployed out somewhere.
So chili macaroni, and what would be with that?
Oh, man.
What would be in that full MRE with chili mac?
I'd probably have a little thing of fruit and probably some peanut butter and some crackers and some cheese and like a little pound cake, and it adds up. Like I said, there's calories in it. Like I said, there's been times where there's been times where I've had shit food, but hey, look, I just got to do it. So that's why I don't complain about any food at all. Or at least I try not to. And I'll hear people complain about. I guess one of my biggest things, and this is maybe off topic, I guess that really gets me fired up because until you've seen people. I saw a family in Afghanistan. It was a family of 8 or 9. And it wasn't even a house. It was like a mud house. It was like a clay house. It was 2-bedroom. And there was a family of 9 living in there.
Oh, wow.
And this family was so broke, they couldn't even afford a damn freezer for their groceries. And one of the 9 people in there, like I said, had a job, and his boss gave them they were broke. And it's like, you come back and you hear people complain, and you're just like, wow, you really don't know how good you have it, how blessed we all are. I'm
going to lead into that on Monday. You get the MRIs when you're deployed out in the field.
MREs, yes.
The MREs, excuse me. So, MRIs, I'm sorry. MREs. Do you just get that when you're when you're at the base, do they have a chow hall? Do you have times when you run through there? Do you get to eat as much as you want?
I wouldn't say as much as you want, but like, it's kind of like they have a breakfast, lunch, dinner schedule, like a cafe. But like if you're ever out in training or out in the range where you're actually on the base, you're actually out doing some actual military operations. And some people might do some hot food, bring it out on a tray, or they might just get like boxes of MREs and, hey, eat MREs tonight. So it really depends. So if you're out in the field training, oh yeah, you're definitely going to be having MREs for like 2 weeks, and you're going to be having a hard time taking a shit after that. So, like I said, I mean, other than all the food, like I said, on base side.
It's a cafe, but it's a chow hall, right?
Chow hall, yes. I'm sorry. Chow hall.
Do you get a certain time to eat? And when we go in there, I know now that I'm around my family or I go to Thanksgiving, I'm always the first one through, because when we go in there, you got to eat, or you don't get to eat. You get just a few minutes, and you got to move and let the next guys come through. So you get like 5-10 minutes to eat. Are you guys on time limit? You have to eat real fast.
When we were in boot camp, we only had 10 minutes to eat.
But once you're deployed to Afghanistan, you were able to sit and eat and enjoy your meal.
Honestly, there's been times I've had to leave my meal because we're getting bombed. Like, we got to. Wow. But it really depends. Like, it's not like a whole schedule. You can't let people know your schedule, because if people find out your schedule, people on the outside will find you.
Yeah,
exactly. So our chow halls in Afghanistan, they had contractors hired from India. They would come in, and they were our chefs and everything. And they actually, I'm not saying they weren't paid much, but like I said, they would take that money into rupees, and it'd be a lot of money. Yeah. So it was everyone from India was there as cooks, and they're actually pretty damn good. Yeah. But
it wasn't too bad.
It could always be worse. Yeah.
Okay, your turn. Number 5.
Okay, so this is one of the questions, and this is the one I think about a lot. So are you aware with, the 2021 happened in Oklahoma County Prison with that hostage? So there was, I don't know all the backstory of it, and I'll put the link of the story in the video in here, but in 2021, they're at the Oklahoma County Detention Center, or one of the worst jails in America.
Oklahoma County, it is absolutely the roughest county jail in Oklahoma. People talk about it. It's as rough as any prison in Oklahoma, with the exception of 1 or 2.
10th floor supposedly, I guess, where all the most violent offenders are at, the most maximum security. I don't know. I've never been in any of that. But anyways, there was this guy, there's a CEO, he was doing his morning medicine, giving everyone their morning medicine. Somehow an inmate got a hold of him, beat the fuck out of him, took his cell phone, sprayed him with pepper spray, handcuffed him, and they had him hostage for 2 hours, and they shanked him a few times. Wow. They held him hostage, and they put him execution style, and they put a shank through his neck. And that's whenever the SWAT team came in, the dude just pulled a handgun, and it was over. But so there was two people. There was one that was holding him by his neck, and there was another guy who came in and shanked him. So that guy who shanked him, he's only like 23 or 24 years old. Oh, he's a kid. And they sent him to McAllister. Oh, yeah. So he got like an extra 40 years out of it because, like I said, since someone died in there, he had to get charged with murder, accessory to the murder state. So he got charged with it. So this dude's 20. And like, he's done. And he's not getting out. So I guess my question building up to this is, what kind of trouble do you think that young man is probably expecting? And since the moment he shanked the officer twice in the ass hard, and he had to get stitches and all that, and so they immediately, like within a week, they send him to McAllister, which is Oklahoma's maximum security prison, which is the hardest prison in Oklahoma. Like, he can tell you about it.
So let me tell you what will happen. As soon as he gets to McAllister, he's going to get shit beat out of him. I don't care what they say, what the warden of McAllister says. It is a known thing throughout the prison system, and medium security at least in Oklahoma, that if you beat a guard up and hurt him, not just if you do a little something. I had a battery on staff. I didn't really hurt the guy. I went to McAllister. They didn't whoop me. But I was a kid. I didn't really hurt the guy. But in cases where guys, and like what you just said, they stabbed an officer and took one hostage.
He was handcuffed.
You can guarantee that when they get to McAllister, they're going to beat the shit out of them and throw them in the deepest, darkest part of solitary confinement. And they're going to tell his family that he's in lockup because he has misbehaved, so he can't visit. That way they can't see. And if they try to send a lawyer up there, they'll say that he refused. So he refused to come and see them so that the lawyer can't see. And after some time has passed and he has healed up somewhat, they'll go ahead and let him see people. And then it's his word against theirs, in which case you've got 3 or 4 officers claiming one thing and him claiming another. There was one guy who was an older man, and he attacked a guard there at McAllister. And there's a set of stairs, and it goes around and down, and it goes down 5 floors. How you see it go down, then it go back down this way, like the flights you see on the movies. Mm-hmm. And they pushed him all the way down those 5 flights. And that dude had a limp for the rest of his life. Oh, man. After that, he had to use a cane. They pushed him down and handcuffed and shackled. But it was their word. They pushed him down this floor, then went down there and pushed him down that floor. Mm-hmm. And they laughed about it as they did it all the way. And all these see it, and they're all hollering and screaming. There's nothing you can do. And it's these guards' word against these inmates' word. And back before there were cameras, now there's cameras everywhere. Mm-hmm. People have cell phones. They record things. You never know who's watching. But back then, when I was in prison, I went in 89. Back then, there weren't cameras everywhere. There was not even a camera in the store that I robbed. So, yeah, you better not hurt a guard. Or when you get to McAllister, you will face the music, for sure.
So when you said to beat the shit, you like the inmates would beat
the guards? The COs are going to whoop you. They're going to take you into a room and they're going to whoop you. The guards, the inmates aren't at all. They're like, good, whoop one, I'm saying. Mm-hmm. But the guards, they're not accepting that. They're going to take you in a room. They're going to say you resisted them. They're going to wrestle you to the ground. They're going to put the boots to you. They're going to put the elbows to you, the knees to you. Mm-hmm. And then they're going to put you in lockup and claim that you did it, that you was the one fighting and they were just protecting themselves. That's what they're going to claim. We had him down. He just kept fighting. That's what they're going to say. But they're not going to let no one see you. They don't even, there's cases where they don't even take you to medical. You don't even go see a nurse. They put you in lockup. No one comes and sees you.
Leave you alone
until you get better. And then it's your word against theirs.
So how long do you think that young man will be in, just for that incident?
So if he did that, he'll have to serve a minimum of 10 years in McAllister. So if you go to McAllister for a hostage situation or a riot, mm-hmm. something severe against a guard, or you've killed another inmate, you know, you can only hurt a guard, but you have to kill an inmate to be that severe to make it equal to the hitting of the guard. They don't consider if you stab an inmate and he don't die, that's not as serious as you punching a guard to them. Punching a guard is serious as killing an inmate. Our lives are as valuable as them getting punched. If you do one of those things and you go to McAllister, you have to serve a minimum of 10 years. And before you can get out of McAllister and go back to a medium security, you have to go in front of what's like a parole board. There's 3 people on a board, and they will decide whether they think that you're fit to go back to a medium security prison or not. And they can all vote no. And if they vote no, you have to do 2 more years. So you have to do a minimum of 10 years in McAllister on lockdown, 23 hours a day, 7 days a week. On the weekends, you're locked down 24 hours a day. And you may or may not get that hour of exercise Monday through Friday. It depends on if they have enough staff. And it really depends on if they feel like doing it. So you might get exercise 2 or 3 hours a week. Other than that, you're locked in your cell, 3 showers that last 10 minutes. All your food is brought to you every day at lunch. One day is beans, the next day is bologna. And you'll have that for 10 years. And then you'll see a little board that will decide if they think you're fit to go back to medium security around the other violent inmates. And if they think that you're fit for that, then they vote yes. And if not, then you go do 2 more years. And then in 2 years, you try again. If they say no, you do 2 more years. So there's no telling how long that guy will be in McAllister, honestly. Maybe next 15, 20 years.
Crazy. It's sad, man.
So, but now we're going to lead into my next question for you. And you hit on it a while ago, and it's a big one for me. Mm-hmm. In my videos, I talk all the time about how you should pick up your blessings and throw down your curses. How every morning you have a decision what kind of day you're going to have. You cannot decide what's going to happen to you today. You can't decide if there's going to be a wreck, if someone else is driving good, if someone else is going to treat you good, if they're going to treat you bad. You can't decide any of that. All you can do is react to what happens to you. And so you can get up in the morning and decide, damn it, today I'm going to be happy, and I don't give a shit what the rest of the world does. I'm going to be happy no matter what. So you have the decision to do that. And I talk to people about how if you're watching this video, if you have a home, if you have a job, if you have a car, if you have people that love you, you have things to be thankful for. And if you dwell on that instead of the things that are bad in your life, things will be so much more better for you and you'll be so much happier. There is a medical equation for happiness. It is the things you want divided by the things you have. And there's 2 ways to be happy. You can lower the things you want, or you can gain more things. But you can always lower what you need, because in truth, all you need is something to breathe, something to eat, something to drink, and someone around to love you, man. So if you have any of those things, and if you have all of those things, you're certainly blessed. So that being the case, and I tell people, if you're going to compare yourself to someone, instead of comparing yourself with people who have more, compare yourself with someone who has less. How about compare yourself to a king 200 years ago? He was a king, had everything, the most that a human could have, and he wasn't close to having what you have today. And that being the case, you said you saw those people over there living with nothing. Yeah. Over there. Explain to me what their lives are like.
They don't know any better. That's all they know. I guess I will have a lot of old school stuff when I was there. And like they had a lot of third party. All the stuff there is fake. All of the product is fake. And
so what kind of clothes do they wear?
Mainly just terms, anything just like a long cover. I don't know the name of it. I'll probably post the name of it right here. But
really hot over there. What did you say their houses are like?
Mud huts.
Mud huts. They have running water. They have sinks and.
Oh yeah, I mean they're in most places no, but only in like the big cities like Kabul, which is the capital of the country, or Kandahar. Like some places will, but like if you're living, mostly it's all farmland there basically.
So these people who are over here fighting with this high tech stuff we got, these people are way behind us, right?
And that's whenever the Afghanistan 2021 withdrawal happened, and all that stuff got left there. Now you saw all those pictures of ICE.
They have our stuff. So I have a question for you, man. If they are so far behind us, technology wise, life wise. If they live without so many things that we're blessed every day to have.
So U.S. was in Afghanistan for 21 years. And like I said in my last video, I genuinely don't know why.
You don't know why you were there?
No, I still don't know why.
So you fought in a war for years and you don't even know why you did it still today?
No.
Wow, man. So why do you think it was unsuccessful?
Like I said, I hate politics. I don't identify. I don't.
But we went there to set up a government that would stand on its own and give them a democracy. And as soon as we pulled out, that it crumbled. The leader left the country. He fled the country. Mm-hmm. The ISIS come in and took all the weapons that we had given them to stand up for themselves with. Why didn't it work?
Fear, because it wasn't America's fault of what happened, but in the last X amount of years, we knew that we were going to try exiting Afghanistan one day, but we knew that the ANA, which is the Afghan National Army, which is their military, they weren't as powerful. I'm not saying it's powerful. They just weren't as up the skill with the things that they needed to learn. They needed to learn better tactics. They needed to learn all these better things and brought up to speed with defending your country because they couldn't do it on their own.
Right.
Because they were dependent on us.
We trained them, right?
We trained them. But like I said, once, ISIS and all these, Taliban, like it's kind of like gangs under blood, Crips, MS, there's all kinds. It's the same way in Afghanistan. There's Al Qaeda, ISIS, and you name it. And
but for ISIS, it's a religious thing. It's even deeper than a gang. It's a religious.
Oh, definitely.
So they're not ever going to give up, right?
I know. They're like, it's humbling, man. It's humbling. I'm glad that, I mean, was I ever scared for my life? There was like maybe like 1 or 2 times, yeah. But other than that, I felt I was going to be okay. I knew to be all right. But definitely saw a lot of shit that makes you humble. But 21 years, like I said, initially why we went there, well, like I said, because, we were bombed with the 2001 9/11 attack, and that's what caused us to go there. But, like I said, to this day, I've even asked some leaders when I was still in, why were they there 21 years? And my senior leaders even asked me, like, I don't know. Like, no one really, it's just the military mindset is just don't ask questions, just do what you're fucking told.
You know that in my mind you are. So we've asked each other 5 questions apiece, but is there anything else you'd like to ask?
Oh, man. I mean, we'll probably have more questions in the future, but I mean, if any of y'all have any questions you want to ask either of us, or you want anything else you want to see in the future, so let us know.
Yeah, hey, you got some questions? We'll do this again. Post them down there in the comments, and we'll be sure to answer them next time for you guys. Answer your question instead. I want you to know, Brandon, I've really appreciated you getting with me and do this.
I appreciate you.
You guys know that my health hasn't been good here recently, but for some reason, when we're broken, we look for other people who are broken to be around. Mm-hmm. And that is how the Hells Angels started. People who have been in prison and they got out here and they couldn't get a job, and people looked down on them and they felt disenfranchised. And then you had the guys come back from Vietnam. They didn't get the same come home as you did. You were looked at as a hero and they were looked down on and protested against. And so a lot of those guys, they felt disenfranchised. And so a lot of the same brotherhood that you find from guys that you met or did time with in prison, because they've been through the same hardships as you, you find that also in guys from the military. Mm-hmm. You have a strong brotherhood there. Oh, yeah. That was a big difference between going to prison and being in the military. In the military, your brothers will die if they got your back. But in prison, for the most, no one has your back. You can't trust anyone. It's a completely different situation. But both of them are a very, very tough thing to go through, and they can leave scars. And because of that, very near future, I'll be starting a Facebook group for people just like me and Brandon. People like us, people like Randy Wilson, people like Brandon Lee. A lot of you guys who have commented in the videos, who share my thoughts. There's a lot of us. I have over 3,000 subscribers, but I'm just one guy. So I would like for us to have a group we can go to when you're suffering, having a hard time mentally, other people who go through the exact same thing. So we'll be setting that group up in the near future, and I hope that you guys will join it when we do. I want to thank you all for joining the video today. I want to thank you again, Brandon. So you can find Brandon Bond's YouTube channel. If you look down in the description, you'll be able to find mine as well if you're watching this on Brandon's page. Thank you all for being with us. Hope to see you in the next video. Until then, may God bless, keep and protect each and every one of you.
Guys, have a good day. See you all next time.